The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Cowboys Storylines with Nick Eatman.
What is up? It is time for Cowboys Storyline. It's Wednesday, October 25th. Cowboys getting ready to play the LA Rams. Almost dropped a St. Louis reference there. Can't figure out what these West Coast teams are anymore. LA Rams. It's where they were when I was a kid, and then they moved around. Now they're back. And it's the Rams against the Cowboys at noon, AT&T Stadium. Halftime of the game will be DeMarcus Ware is going to be inducted into the Ring of Honor. So that'll be that. If you're going to the game, you'll be able to see that. Seems a little different when the guy's already been in the Hall of Fame. I'd like to see that kind of flipped a little bit. But either way, still cool. What I like about it is it usually brings a lot of the Ring of Honor members back all together again. So you get a chance to kind of see them. Haven't seen them in a while. So good for that. And good for D. Ware to get into the Ring of Honor. All right. Cowboys, Rams. Not a lot going on really this week as far as just getting ready for that game. I know there's been some talk. We'll talk here with the fans about potential trades. I can't really go too far into that but if that is something you think the Cowboys need to do to kind of get over the hump. They see other teams doing it, see the Eagles doing it. So therefore, what do the Cowboys need to do to get there? And so I'll let you guys, if you guys have some ideas there, you guys can go for it and see what you think. We can kind of discuss it a little bit, and also just kind of what they need to do to get this win. 5-2 would be really big for the Cowboys going into the game against the Eagles. Not looking ahead, just know you got to take care of business here, and you can get another win, get back-to-back wins from that 49ers loss. Get to 5-2 going into that game against Philadelphia. That will be a huge, huge showdown. All right, 888-855-2297 is the phone line number, 817-290-3298. That is the text line. Let's go to the calls. Let's start us off. Aaron in Youngstown, Ohio. Aaron, you're up.
Hey, what's going on, Nick? Good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Great.
Great. So something I just wanted to touch on with Dak and the offense. Now, coming off of the bye week, having a chance to see what has and hasn't worked in this new Texas Coast offense. I'm curious of what your thoughts are of what you're hoping to see change in this offense. I know for myself, especially after this Chargers game, I want to see Dak back on the move. I want to see naked bootlegs, getting him on the run because, honestly, I don't think there's many quarterbacks that are better than him on the run, throwing on a rope to the sideline, throwing on a rope down the field. It's pretty much that's the one thing that I think he has a strength over many quarterbacks is just how he's able to just maintain accuracy on the run. So, I'd love to see him on the run, on the move,
right.
And then also just kind of opening up the route tree more, stop trying to force slant routes to Gallup because obviously he is not a strength in this West Coast type offense of breaking release, breaking away from press coverage. That's just not his game. They just keep trying to force it to him because they know he can make plays when he gets the ball, but it just doesn't seem to work for him of getting off the ball. So I'd like to see that route tree opened up, get CD back on the move, get him back working in the slot, get him in motion before the snap, get him fixing his chain coming off of the motion because good things happen whenever he does that. So that's kind of what I would like to see. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. And then also throughout your career covering the Cowboys, what would you say is the two players that you were the most right and the most wrong on, whether it was a free agent or a draft pick that you either looked at and just thought this guy's is not going to fit and he ended up being great, or a guy that you were just so sure was going to be very good and it just didn't work for him, and I'll hang up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the call there. Let me kind of try to think about that as it goes on. Maybe not right this second, but I'll think about it maybe even at the break, and I'll come back with that. Two players that I really thought were going to be good, and I was right, and then some that any of the busts. I can tell you right now, I really thought Mo Claiborne was going to be great. I really thought that was a great pick, and I thought, man, he was going to take him over the top, and that just didn't work out. That would be one, but let me think a little bit. Look at that. Thank you, Utah Jazz. Jasmine, she's the best. I think that let's go to the first part. Dak on the move. I mean, we say it a lot. This is not anything new that we're not talking about. I mean, Dak on the move, Dak doing his thing, playing the style of football that got him to this point is, I think, what's better. You know, when the teams try to put him in the pocket and just make him a passing quarterback, that's not his thing. And that's okay. I mean, he can do it. It's not like he can't make the throws, but that just living and dying with him standing in the pocket throwing, that's not who he is. And he's never been that guy. And even though he's been here a long time, that's not what he was 8 years ago at Mississippi State. That's not what he was. So, yes, everything you said, they need to get him on the move. And plus, when you do that, when you're playing that way, it also makes it tougher for the defense because you don't really know exactly where things are going to be, how they're going to finish, how the plays are going to end up. So it creates a little bit more deception, I think, for the defense to have CD on the move, have Dak, you know, with the read options, things like that are just disguising what they're trying to do better. It'd be one thing if this is your bread and butter and you said, this is Aikman to Irvin, stop it. We're going to run a slant. We're going to run out. You can't stop it. I mean, we're going to run Emmett right behind Moose, and Nate Newton can't stop it. It's not the way it is. And that's not the way a lot of teams are. You know, you can't just roll out and say, this is how we're going to play the game. So, all right, good stuff. I'll answer that second part here in a little bit. Let's go to Eli in Corpus Christi is our next caller. Eli, what's up?
Hey, bud. How you doing? Good morning to everybody,
Good.
Cowboy Nation. Really love the show. I love to hear the perspective of the fan, to see what we're thinking. We constantly hear y'all's, like, if I listen to all the shows, listen to everybody's perspective, and it's pretty much along the same lines. But to hear it from the fans, the concern of the offensive line, I think our problem is two different things.
Okay.
Our offensive run block, if you go back and look at every single game, like, if they know we're running, because we make it obvious, they stop us at the line every time. It's never 2 or 3 yards. And I wanted to see if you can rank the offensive linemen run blocking so far this year.
Okay.
And I think the second problem is in this West Coast offense, I think we're supposed to do like 3-step drops and stuff like get them off the line. And I think the receiver's not winning on the line. And the problem with that is when the opposing defense is off on coverage, you should throw the ball to the receiver and let him get 3 or 4 yards. But they don't. They run the slant when they're on off coverage, and it allows them to play zone into those little holes. And it frustrates me to see us keep running the same plays over and over. Like, we're going to run our offense no matter what. If it doesn't work, we're going to run it. It doesn't matter. And I just want you to talk on those two things. But I appreciate you. I love this new show that you got by yourself. It's hard to do a show by yourself, but you're killing it, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I will correct you, though. I really will. I don't do it by myself. That's what the beauty of it is when you guys call, and I love the fact, I mean, when you guys say it's hard to get in, it's hard to get on the phone lines. That's good. That's good for us. It's good for the show. So, you know, if I was sitting up here doing it by myself, I mean, that happened one day. Chris will tell you, you know, it happened one day. We had a show, we didn't have any callers, and I was like, all right, well, this ain't gonna work like this. And so the next day we had about 8, and now we get about 10 to 12, maybe sometimes a little bit more, and it's great. So I'm up here by myself, but when you guys call, and it makes it a lot easier. The run blockers, I mean, ranking the run blocking, you know, that's tough because Terrence Steele has not been what we've expected out of him, and he's got a pretty good excuse. So I mean, he's coming off of a ACL injury, and he will. I think he'll get back to normal. But him and Zach Martin on that right side before the injury, that was really, really strong, and so I think they'll get back to that. I don't think Tyler Biotish is that's not his strength. I don't think is just moving people off the ball. And Tyler Smith, I think is pretty good there. But they all can be better. They can be better with the run blocking. It's not just about power. It's also about understanding the assignment, working together, the cohesiveness there. When they get that down, I think the run blocking will be better there. And I agree with you about sometimes you have to adjust a little bit to the play that's called. But there's a balance there. You don't want the quarterback always freelancing and doing things just based off of changing the play. So sometimes you want him to run the play that's called. I think that one thing that's hurting this team is that I do think the receivers need to be a little bit better with run after catch. Get the ball in their hands and go make plays. That doesn't seem to be something that they do a ton, but that is something that they need to kind of work on. All right, let's go to text question here from Doug in Florida. He says, I enjoyed the show yesterday. Listened to the trade discussions. Was totally swayed to your thinking of not making a trade for a big name. What should be our main concern for Sunday? Defending Kupp and Puka or Donald rushing? Aaron Donald rushing. That's always tough. Aaron Donald could a guy like that can wreck the game. Having two wide receivers like that could be dangerous though for the any team that's trying to cover them. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, just outstanding route runners. They make a lot of catches, and they do a lot of work. For that, making the secondary do a lot of work. So I think it's both. I don't know, play one or the other. The offense, defense, they kind of play in hand in hand. Those receivers though can move the chains, and they don't have a lot of big names at running back. They're still figuring out what they want to do with their running backs. I think 4 or 5 guys have gotten the ball, on a consistent basis. So they still trying to figure out their running game. But it certainly helps when you have a possession type receivers the way they do. They can move the chains. So I think they're both really good. And go back to the trade thing. I'm not saying not make a trade. I'm not saying hang up the phone. I'm listening to whatever. But I would do it if it makes sense. I'm not just going to react to other teams making moves and go, well, what are we going to do? We have to counter. This isn't chess, You have to play your game and see what's there. And it has to work for right now. It needs to work for down the road as well. So I think that's what the Cowboys are doing. But I guarantee you that they're listening and they're looking to see what's out there and figure out ways to get better. All right, Curtis in Oklahoma is our next caller. Curtis, what's up?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you. I just got a couple questions, 2 of them. My first one is I heard some trade talk about running back on the shows, and looking at what we do the first couple series, we're not doing the jet sweeps or any kind of misdirection. So I was wondering if you, quote unquote, maybe think about starting Rico Dowdle and, run him up the middle, get everybody sucked in, gas out the defense a little bit. And then, after the first couple series, bring Tony Pollard in and kind of keep him that change of pace and let him finish out the game.
Yeah. He's not that type of runner like Zeke. He's not the power back. But I hear what you're saying. And the former running backs coach Skip Peete, he said it. He stood on the table for that idea about that's how you have to do it. That's how you have to run Tony Pollard. You have to have another guy first, and kind of change up what the speed and kind of get the defense thinking one way, and then boom. Tony becomes a lot faster when he comes in that second or third series like that. So there's something to what you're saying. I don't know if Rico is the hammer that you're looking for there, but he does run the ball well. I'm not opposed to this idea. I don't know if it would happen because politics are involved. There's your franchise running back, franchise tag, $10 million a year. He's supposed to be the guy, and a lot of times teams don't want to admit that that's not the case, but they'll do it. This team has done it. Remember a few years ago when they were going to go receiver by committee? That's what they were going to do until the bye week 6 or 7, and they traded for Amari Cooper. Sometimes if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you have to do that. I'm okay with this. Even if you don't start Rico Dowdle, play him more, play him a little bit more in the game and earlier in the game to kind of get that change of pace. I would be fine with that. I like the way he runs. He runs hard. He's not easy to bring down, and I think that's what this team needs. And I think Tony Pollard, I think he could help. Somebody else could kind of help him as far as taking a little bit off his load a little bit, because he's getting not only a lot of carries, he's getting a lot of hits, in blitz pickup, and that's a lot of wear and tear on his body. I think it affects him. I mean, I don't think he's getting caught from behind like he did in that last game. Now the guy had an angle on him, and he had to kind of start when he did a spin in the Chargers game. Great play. But we've seen him take it to the house and not get stopped or get tackled from behind. So that was certainly a play where you feel like later in the game, he's kind of been, the wear and tear has affected him. All right, 888-855-2297. That is the phone line. I think we have some open lines. So jump in and give us a call and join the show. We have a text question here from Mike in Boston. So don't you think we need to get Turpin and Tolbert in the game as receivers more? Gallup is playing below average for a while now. I love him as a person. He is not the same. No, he the same as his rookie year, maybe, or his first couple years before the injury. Maybe he's not the same. He's still been effective this year. I mean, as soon as you start writing him off, which they did after week 1 and 2, he was all right. This guy sucks. And then he goes to Arizona, has a nice game. I think he had a game the next week too. Was New England. I mean, he had a couple games in a row. That's kind of what he is. That's what's going to happen here with him. So I firmly believe that Gallup will be fine if the fans can deal with the money he's making. I mean, because that's the thing. The role that he has as a third receiver, most third receivers are going to be this way. I mean, especially when you have an all-pro there and another established vet in Cooks. They're trying to get them the ball. There's going to be games where they have 2 catches, 1 catch for 5 yards. There's going to be games where they have 6 for 80. He's got to be ready for it, and I think he's underrated. I really do. I think Michael Gallup is underrated for what he provides in that locker room, the type of receiver that he is. His mentality is never going to be a guy that's going to go and get 100 catches and 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. That's not really his mindset. I don't think he's going to be that way, but he's going to be a good, solid teammate, ready to go, ready to make a big play. So I don't know. I mean, Turpin and Tolbert, yeah, they can play. I mean, I'm fine with Turpin getting some action and Tolbert as well, but I'm just not writing off Gallup yet. I'm not, because as soon as you do, he's going to make some great play for you, and that's what he is. That's what a third receiver is supposed to do. All right, Sean in Bakersfield, California, you're next.
What's going on, man?
Hey,
how's it going?
That's good. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm doing great, man. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, Micah Parsons' comments. I thought he made a lot of valid points. The Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl last year, and they just seem to always find a way to add to their team, to have a better team, to keep stacking their team up. And I thought, honestly, it was a shot, I thought, to the front office. Because I really do think we need to make a move. I think for the owners, at least, to show that, they really do want to win. That's all I got, man. I just wanted to hear your point. Have a good day, man. God bless. Go Cowboys.
Thank you. I'll be honest. I don't make that podcast a part of my routine to listen to. I haven't heard everything that he said. I've been kind of hearing some things. I think he said the Eagles are number 1, the number 1 team in the league. I didn't hear a lot of what he's saying. Players with their own podcasts, he's out there just venting and saying stuff. Let's see what he says maybe today in the locker room, when he's getting asked questions from the media. And I'm not saying that his points are invalid. I'm not saying that. I mean, that's his podcast. That's what he's doing. It's getting a lot of traction. I don't listen to it all the time. I've heard little clips here and there. And if he's taking a shot at his own team, I mean, that'll if he's taking a shot at, indirectly at the old coaching staff, he did it last week too. I mean, he did it after the 49er game. He took a shot at his own coaches. He's done that. So that's a growing thing that's probably gonna I think it's boiling water at this point, and I think it'll surface here at some point. Hopefully it gets cooled down. But this, that his comments are kind of, they're gaining traction here, and I don't know if that's certainly a good thing. For him to say that the Eagles are the best team in the league, okay. I mean, they got the best record, right? I mean, they're the only one-loss team, I believe, or the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the best team in the league, but that everyone's got an opinion there. The Eagles lost to the Jets, and they played poorly to lose that game, and the Chiefs lost to the Lions, and they had two of their all-pro players out of that game. I'd like to see them play it again. So I think the Chiefs are the best team. It doesn't matter, though. That's the thing. Who cares about rankings? This isn't college football. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's a system of playoffs. Everybody will be able to figure it out, and that's the thing. I mean, look at baseball, the World Series. I mean, the two best teams playing in the World Series? Probably not. But they're there, so they're playing the best right now, and so that's all that really matters. So rankings and all that stuff doesn't matter. But Micah's comments, and they're starting to get to the point where I think people are starting to take notice, and they're hopefully it doesn't get too out of hand. But I see him just doing his thing. He's speaking his mind. But I'd like to see him do a little bit more talking with the media as well, and answer some of the questions that the media is asking, and not just him up there just kind of ranting a little bit. All right, Kurt in Arkansas, you're next.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. I think Sam Williams needs to grow up and quit all the silly crap. And I heard on Fish this morning that Jerry was on the phone with Denver and Tennessee for trade talks. And he's talking about corner and linebacker, but I think what we need more is a good run stuff and defensive tackle, because Mozzie is not cutting it. Yep,
he's not. He certainly hasn't performed to the level that you would want your first round pick. I don't know about the other stuff. Not sure what they're doing there. And if I did, probably wouldn't be able to talk about it. So, like I said before, thanks for the call, Kurt. I was a little confused on the Philly. If you're talking about Micah or Sam Williams, I think they both have said some comments or said some things lately about wanting to play more or whatever. I don't know. I mean, Sam Williams obviously he wants to play a little bit more. He's a second round pick that thought he would be a little bit more of a factor than he's been, but that's. He's behind some good players, and he's got to kind of work himself in there. If he's talking about Sam Williams, if he's talking about Micah, I think I just addressed that. But, and as for the trades, I'd be surprised if the Cowboys aren't looking at anything. I mean, you have to be. I mean, you're there. You're a top team. You're one of the top 10 teams in the league. So you're there to make some moves, and you're in position to go, compete for a Super Bowl. So what do you need? Do you need to go and strengthen the team? They'd be silly to not be listening to things or looking at things. That doesn't mean you have to go do it, but you should always be trying, and I think that they're certainly doing that right now. Let's take our first break here, our only break on Cowboys Storyline. 888-855-2297. Get on the phone and give us a call. We'll be right back here on Storyline.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't stop banking.
Erica is only available in in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Back to Cowboys Storylines.
All right, back here on Cowboys Storyline. Got about 20 more minutes or so before we end the show. So we've got a chance to get some calls and some texts. 888-855-2297. I think you can, if you're listening, you're like, oh, I can never get in. I think you can get in today. I think we can fit you in. Or definitely with some text questions as well. Earlier, I was asked about a couple of players. It was it Eli in Corpus Christi? Yeah, he asked about what are two players that I was really right about and two players that I was not right about. And I said about Mo Claiborne, that was one I thought he was going to be. I thought that was a great trade. I thought he was going to be great. And another one, I'm looking through some of the draft, picks, and I thought Antonio Bryant was going to be just outstanding, and he was in his own way. He was really good. I remember the 2002 draft, just getting him. I mean, he was like a playmaker. Sometimes, he had some other issues a little bit off the field, but I mean, he was, he was a phenomenal athlete and talent. And so I thought that was going to be, and he wore 88, I thought he was going to be like the next star. Didn't really work out for him. And another guy, because Arkansas guy, I thought Felix Jones was going to be a phenomenal too. Didn't really work for him. He got injuries and he just didn't, football wasn't always number one, I think, for him. So, and that's too bad. But a couple of guys, I'll say this, and not just because he's on one of our show or a lot of our shows, but when they signed Barry Church in free agency, I was like, he's making the team. 4-year starter at Toledo, 4-year all conference first team. I was like, he's gonna be a good player. This will be a good player for the Cowboys. He's making the team, and he may even start. And he did. He played like 8 years in the league and started a lot. I just remember immediately seeing that on his name on that list and going, yeah, that's a guy that's going to be pretty good. And then here's another one that's not necessarily not a Cowboy, but I remember I forgot what year this was, but it was second or third round, and I was just on the table. I was like, they have to go get Devin Hester. Devin Hester would be a difference maker. I promise you, Devin Hester is going to be a great player. And I said I would take him in the second or third round. I think he was a third-round pick. And, of course, I think he's a Hall of Famer, or he will be. Just a dynamic return specialist, unbelievable. But I remember that was one that I was like, got to go get him. Didn't happen. All right, let's go to a text question here from CW in Hollywood. He says, it seems like we're just looking in the cupboard to find a solution from the bench rather than seeing what's available from other teams, i.e. Dowdle and Pollard, or Pollard and another, star running back, or Gallup and Turpin, or another star receiver. What are your thoughts? Well, you're also missing another part too. It's the player that you're not drafting next year, or the two players that you're not drafting next year. It's not just you can't just look at it and just take some running back that's a Pro Bowl running back and say, would you rather have him or Rico Dowdle? Well, yeah, of course you would, but What are you giving up to get him? What do you have to spend, next year? Are you paying him? I mean, there's a lot more factors involved than just I'd rather have him versus him. I know you guys are smarter than that, but sometimes I feel like the Madden game mentality of just making trades with no recourse is just it's like, let's just do it. There is more to it than that. And I get it. A lot of fans just want to go all in because this is the game right now. This is the team. Doesn't matter about next year. We'll figure out next year. And, that's okay. I mean, that's okay to have that mentality, but that's not necessarily what the Cowboys do. There's more to it than just going and making moves. I think that the Cowboys are going to be aggressive. I would be surprised if they do not make a move. I think they will, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Next caller is Jay in Virginia. Jay, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Chris? I'm sorry, not Chris.
Yeah, well, Chris answers the phone. He's probably doing pretty good. And no problem.
Nick,
no problem. What's up, man?
I just got a quick question. Do you think the past not getting return on investment for Roy Williams and Joey Galloway, outside of Amari Cooper, we haven't really went after no big names, and also Brandon Cobb, we didn't really get the return on investment with that free agent signing either.
Yeah.
I just want to hear your great show. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man, for taking my call.
Thank you, Jay. I think you have a point there. You went back a few years, but that's okay. I mean, that is something that I'm sure has played a factor in of, all right, when we have been aggressive, when we've gone to make these moves, has it worked? And Mo Claiborne's another one. I mentioned him earlier about making a trade and going up to get him. And they go up and down in the draft all the time. But as far as like a big jump and like you said, going to get Joey Galloway, I mean, that was not a good idea. I mean, that was just it didn't work out. Two number ones for Joey, and then he gets hurt. I mean, that's unfortunate too. But because I remember them saying it's only one number one because we're getting one. That was their mentality. It's not two number ones because we are getting a number one receiver in Joey Galloway. Well, then when he gets hurt and tears his ACL in week 1, well, then it obviously is two number ones. And so that was tough. But yeah, they didn't get the return on investment there. The Roy Williams wide receiver, Roy Williams in 2008, that didn't really work out. And then go look at 2009, that was a absolute atrocious draft, not having a first or a second round pick. And that didn't work out. So yeah, I think looking at the times that they have made splash moves, did it work? And Amari Cooper, I don't think you can say that really worked because when they traded for him, all they kept saying was he's 24 years old. He's 24. So we're not just getting him for this year, we're getting him for down the road. And he only played 3 years? So that's not what they were looking for when they made that trade. Because think about it, when you give up a first round pick, you don't want them to play 3 years. That's called Taco Charlton. I mean, that you don't want. You want them. You draft them in the first round so that they're going to play a lot of years. All right, let's go to Irwin in Denver. Irwin, what's up?
Hey, good morning, Nick. How you doing?
Good morning to you. I'm good.
Hey, so I got a couple things for you. I'm just kind of thinking, and I won't mention any names because I know you can't.
You can.
I think, Derrick Henry, I think, would be a great addition for our team. He's a big bruising back that I think we could use in the red zone. And the other thing I want to say to you, and maybe you can comment on it, hopefully you will, it just seems, as much as I despise the Eagles, I think they're doing a really good job as far as free agency goes and drafting. Do you think that they've got the cap and everything figured out better than Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones? Because it just seems like they reload every year. They've really built a strong team, I think. And I'll let you let go and hear what you got to say about that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for the call. I do think a big, strong running back would be great for this team. A proven back that could help take the load off of Tony Pollard. I think anybody like that's proven that still has some left in the tank. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good pickup if that could happen. You know, and there are options out there. You know, if the Cowboys wanted to go there, it just, you know, you got to remember high profile players like that are not going to be cheap. And so they're going to have to, you know, they'll have to be better. They're going to have to give a compensation better than what that team's going to get, you know, next year or two if they get, you know, a comp pick for them. So it has to be better than that. So, you know, I think if the Cowboys are looking, you know, they've already traded next year's fourth for Trey Lance. So I know that's factoring in on anything that they do. You don't want to go into the draft next year and not have you know, some firepower to go do some things. But, you know, that being said, let me also go back to another point too. You know, when we're talking about the draft picks that haven't really panned out this year, this is not an excuse. It's just reality. This is a 12-5 team 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, this is a really good football team by NFL standards. So you're picking towards the bottom and you're adding players to the team to try to be better than the guys you have. They can't get on the field because you have a good roster. So it's not easy for draft picks to kind of just come in. You expect one or two out of a class to do this, and they haven't. That's the unfortunate part. But you know, it's not easy for these guys to just be better than a 3 or 4 year veteran that's been here and knows the system and things like that. So that is kind of the challenge that we're seeing for these young players. So my point is, maybe at some point, you know, you're okay with all right, I'll part ways on a couple of draft picks here and there to get some veteran players that I know will be better than what what you have. They build through the draft, but every now and again, I think it would be okay if you did not have 10 draft picks. If you had six draft picks, you know, and maybe you didn't have a third or you don't have a fourth or something like that. You can figure some things out because you do have some depth. You do have some young players. And if you can kind of splice in another veteran, maybe that would be the approach. I mean, everybody loves picks, but if you can turn them into some veteran players like they did with Gilmore and Cooks, I think that's a good option as well. As for the Eagles, I mean, they are doing a great job. You know, there's no doubt about it. They're doing a great job. They've been fortunate too. Like they were fortunate to have Carson Wentz and then trade him for more first round picks. You know, I mean, the fact that other teams still looked at him and said, "All right, I know he was not good here, but I think he'll be good here, and I'll give you a first-round pick for him." Like that's amazing that they were able to do that, and they've landed some good picks. They're able to draft. They're able to be aggressive, getting players, you know, that are falling for whatever the reason. They go for that. So they've helped their own cause. You know, they took a flyer on Jalen Hurts to see if he could be a good player for this team. And he's a franchise quarterback. So that's huge. Now, they had to pay him this year, and you know, the money will catch up to all teams. You know, it happens. The Rams were doing the same thing. They won the Super Bowl, and now it's caught up to them. But it happens, and, you know, the Cowboys haven't taken that approach, and I'm sure fans are like, why not? Why not take it every once in a while, take that approach, because it can work. And it has sort of worked for Philly because they made it to the Super Bowl. They didn't win, but they made it there. They're a top team right now, so I think they're doing fine. You know, and but we'll see. You know, where the Cowboys stand with them. Last year they were right there with the Eagles. You know, I think they were neck and neck. Philly was a little better, but you know, when they played, they both won. They both beat backup quarterbacks, you know, at home, so it was hard to get a good gauge of where they are. But I think we'll get a good feel for it in 2 weeks. All right, Rob in Vegas is our next caller. Rob, what's up?
Don
in San Antonio. I skipped Don. I apologize. Don, what's up?
Good morning, Nick.
How are you?
Got a couple things this morning. First, watching the games this last week, Kirk Cousins just made me think about Dak. You see both of those guys in some games just dominate. They're on their game. They're in the zone. What is there anything the team can do or the coaches can do to flip that switch to make those guys much more consistent? Another thing that I noticed, I was talking Cowboys this morning, and they actually took a few calls, which kind of surprised me because they do a lot of talking. But the question was, what previous generation player could help the Cowboys most today? And I was just amazed. Nobody said Larry Allen. I mean, we've got issues on the offensive line. Plug and play that guy, and then that's going to make your whole line stronger. That's it for today.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I talked to them on my way in. They were walking out, and they talked about that. And I said I would change the question to it can't be a Hall of Famer, because, okay, Larry Allen, Deion Sanders, sure. How about a guy that makes a little bit more sense, a guy that wasn't a Hall of Famer that you could still because any Hall of Famer would be probably better than what you have, because there's not many Hall of Famers on this team right now. There's some, but and then there's some that are projecting to be. So that's always a fun question, but I think you kind of be realistic about it a little bit. But offensive line help, sure, that'd be great. So, all right. So if it's not Larry Allen, if it's not a Hall of Famer, how about Nate Newton? But not even in the Ring of Honor. Should be, but not in the Ring of Honor. All right. Apparently somebody did say Larry Allen. One person I think did when they were talking about that. I mean, later on in the show, Larry Allen's name did get mentioned. So let's just make clear on that one. It didn't get mentioned at all. I think I missed this first part of the question. But we'll move on to Rob in Vegas now. Rob.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. I look at the Cowboys, and for Jerry, one of the worst things that happened, even though it was a great thing, was he had early success. And got his money back. We all know the story, invested $140 million, all he got, and overnight got that back, wins back-to-back Super Bowls, money's pouring in, and he takes off. And I think Jerry now at 80 looks at it like, does he want to win? Of course he wants to win. But I think just as important is being relevant. And I think even Jerry criticized the Rams a couple of years ago when they went all in that one year, but they won a Super Bowl. And I get the impression from Jerry's not willing to go for it totally because he's afraid if we don't win the Super Bowl, we may go 8-9 the next year or 7, But as a fan, Jerry, if you win a Super Bowl and you don't do anything for another 10 years, we'll take that. It's been almost 30. I mean, relevancy to me is meaning the goal is not to get to the playoffs. The goal is to win the Super Bowl. If you don't win the Super Bowl, I'm not saying the season was a failure, but it's nothing. Like they talk about the Eagles. Jalen Hurts got to the Super Bowl. He lost. Jim Kelly got the 4 Super Bowls in a row. Lost all 4. Nobody cares. And, you look at it in hindsight. Wow, that was incredible. But at the end of the day, you lost.
Let me ask you. So, do you think the Rams made the right call then because they won the Super Bowl? So,
absolutely.
Okay. But I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, but the Eagles didn't because they didn't win the Super Bowl, right?
Well, you mean last year?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Look at the Rams.
Well,
I mean, the Rams got a gift in the NFC Championship to win that game, and then it was a very close game. They easily could have lost to the Bengals on some questionable calls there. Does that make their moves any different? I mean,
well, yes.
I think what you're trying to do is just get close. You got to be good enough to get there, and then when you're there, let's see what happens. And I think that's the mindset with the Cowboys.
But I don't believe that in football because the problem is injury. You can't get close. There's no such thing as what you did one year doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do it the next year. I'm a big Golden Knights fan, and the Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup, and the owner of the Golden Knights is awesome because he understands Vegas. There's a lot going on, and if I don't bring back a really great team and we don't have another good year, they don't care. They won't come. So what do? He re-signs the whole team except one guy that's 7-0, and the place is rocking. He's willing to do what it takes. And I'm not saying Jerry doesn't want to win. Like I said, you have to go for it. This is because Dak Prescott, we see, you're one injury away of him breaking his leg. The Eagles, are doing the same thing again this year. They just made the move. They picked up the safety from Tennessee. I mean, the Eagles, I don't know how they make moves when they're paying their quarterback $50-something million. Well,
hold on.
But they're willing to go for it.
Hold up, Rob. Are you fine? You said you're a Golden Knights hockey fan. Do you like the fact that your owner went and signed a lot of players to be better this year? Did you like that, or did you not like that?
I like that.
But I thought you said if you win a championship, we're good for 10 years. So, I mean, which one is it? Is it being relevant every year, or is it just going to win a championship?
No, it's win a championship. The Golden Knights won a championship.
Right. But then now this year they're going all in to win another one, right?
Exactly. But if let's say they did. Let's say that the Golden Knights missed the playoffs this year. The fans would be like, okay, we just won a championship. The Cowboy fans haven't seen a championship in almost 30 years.
Right.
So we're like, what are we doing?
Okay.
Jerry talks like getting to the playoffs is a big deal. You're the Dallas Cowboys. The playoffs should be a given. You should be in the playoffs every year. You should be, unless there's major injury, this team, the way it's constructed, the playoffs is just the beginning. I mean, you don't hear people talk about the Cowboys of, well, maybe they'll make the playoffs. No. What do you always hear? Oh, they're going to get past the first round. But Jerry seems like he's comfortable with that. And no, put all the chips in. Go make the moves.
Okay.
And worry about the consequences next year. The salary cap is meaningless. It's fake money. Every year we've been hearing for 20, if we pay them today. It's funny how teams always make it work.
No, the salary cap's real. I mean, salary cap is real.
It's real, but it's amazing how teams every year work around it.
Yeah, but not the same teams. It's not the same teams. I mean, you go up and you go down. It's not the same teams. It's really not.
Well, let me ask you something.
All right.
You're a big Cowboys fan.
Sorry, Frank. That's our next caller. Go ahead.
Would you take if he said that's it and he's just spending money and we win a Super Bowl this year, but we don't make the playoffs the following year, and then we make the play, we go out the first round, kind of like we've been doing for the next 5 years. Would you take that?
Would I take it?
Yes. As a fan.
As a fan, yeah, I did. I did take it.
What I'm saying.
I did take it, but I get it. But you act like they're not trying. You act like Jerry is just fine. You act like Jerry's just fine with doing this. Yeah.
No, I didn't say he's not trying. I don't think he's trying enough. Jerry's going to the edge.
Yeah.
But he's not going full in because he's afraid of what's going to happen the next 2 years. And Jerry, you're 80 years old. Let's do it now, number one. And number two, fans will take it. Start doing what the fans would do, would take it. If you took a poll that said, we go all in and we win it now, we may not win it for another few years. Okay, we haven't won it for almost 30.
Yeah, I think – all right, thanks for the call. I think that if you go back and you look, I think they're I don't know if you want to call all in. They're trying. They are trying to do that. They did go back and look at last year. Last year they made a lot of moves to try to get over the hump and get there. I mean, when they don't work, then it's like a bad move. But they're not sitting on their hands. Like just go look at the moves that they're making. They're trying to do this. They are not just sitting back. Anyways, Frank in Irving, can we get one more call in, Frank? Frank, are you there?
Yes. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
It'll be quick.
All right.
What do you think about picking up like Zeke and bringing him back?
Well, he's with unless something happened in the last 30 minutes, I think he's with another team. So I'll say this. I hear what you're saying, and do you have another question?
No.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Sorry, we're running past time here. I know what you're saying. Another big running back, a guy that's been here, that knows the team, knows the system. That would be great. He's not available right now, unless something has changed. But I think the premise is right. I could see another big running back here to kind of carry the load a little bit for Pollard, get some of these short yardage situations. Don't put it all on Dak to try to get on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 pushes and stuff like that. A bigger back that can help with the pass blocking and understand that. Yeah, if something's available, I think the Cowboys could probably go and do that. But also, going back to the last one, like we can argue all day long. Sure, yes, the fans would love to have a Super Bowl, and then they'll be fine after that. I mean, I was a Mavericks fan. They won it in 2011, and for about 5 or 6 years, you're fine with that. But you do get antsy, and you want them to kind of build on it a little bit. The problem is yes, you want to stay relevant. It's not about dollars and all the time. It's about having a chance to be successful and building something that you can sit there and this team can be good for a long time. That's what they're trying to do. There's teams that have gone all in and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You make big splashy moves. There's teams that are doing it now. Only one of them is going to work, and it may not even be them. So there's different ways to skin it. I think the Cowboys have been aggressive. Is it as aggressive, as you want? No, because it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked like you want, but they have been aggressive. We'll see what they do. They still got another week or so before, the trade deadline. Maybe they decide to make a move, but I guarantee if they don't win the Super Bowl, that it's not gonna be remembered like it is for the teams that are, making these moves to get there. Sorry we went long today. Good calls. Appreciate that. For Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. We'll see you next time on Cowboy Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!